It's Wednesday, May 17th, 2017. It's time for WorthPoint Chats with Harry Rinker. I'm Greg Watkins from WorthPoint.com. And
there
now
you
it's
are,
time.
Greg. I was a little concerned there. It didn't look like you at first.
What did it look like?
Looked like Smith Brothers glass.
Really? Okay.
Well, anyway.
Well, here I am. And here
Well,
you are. How are you tonight, Harry?
We're doing fine. I often find myself challenged by technology, and technology continues to overwhelm me, let alone profound me or whatever it does to me. But I've got a couple of interesting things to talk about this week. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about my experiences about going up to this home in northern Wisconsin, and that's going to be involved in an estate sale that my good friend Barb Jersey from Wonder Woman Estate Sale is having. And we talked about my comments about early American pattern glass and also some Smith Brothers glass. And we got a note from one of our viewers. It says, here's some observations I've seen in the past and current observations. My grandmother, he said, born in 1916, collected early American pattern glass. Now, yes, she did. And why did she collect it? Because she was born in 1916. And it was the glassware she grew up with. Okay. Which goes once more to prove, first of all, that a lot of collecting has to do with what people remember.
Right.
I mean, collecting is heavily my memory driven, and not memories of my parents or my grandparents, but my memories driven, okay? So that part made sense. He said the prices became expensive in the 1960s and 70s, but I found became expensive overpriced in the 1960s and 70s, and I found it actually dropped off in price. And this is what happened to a lot of collecting categories. They would become expensive. Other categories were affordable. People would change them, and those categories would tend to linger for a while. And he said, I thought people were more interested in depression glass than pattern glass. And they were, first of all, because a new generation came along, and the glass they remembered was depression glass. But also, you know, pattern glass, you know, you start to pay $35, $45 for a goblet, and you know, a couple $100 for a compote, and you know, and $85 for covered butter and that type of stuff. And before you know it, you know, it's expensive to collect. And those were big bucks
in the
back
60s.
in the 60s and 70s. I mean, that's one of the things too, when you're trying to figure out what happened to categories and collecting patterns in the trade. You have to remember what prices historically meant in terms of dollars versus what those same pieces mean dollar-wise today. I mean, $35 a day is a long distance from $35 in 1970 or 80. Okay. So he said, however, this is what threw me for a loop. He said, I'm currently finding that early American pattern glass is having a resurgence because the prices are more affordable. Now, he's right about that. Here's the situation. Every antique never gets down to nothing. No antique is valueless. We found that out even with Homo figures. That's one of the things that the 2008-2009 recession showed us, that things will drop, but they will never drop to zero. At $1, $2, $5, $10, depending on the category, there's always somebody that wants them. You can still sell a Homo figure for $10 to $15. You may not be able to sell it for $35 to $45, but you can sell it for $10 to $15. You can sell pattern glass goblets, is early American pattern glass goblets. I mean, the ones dating from the 1890s through about the 1920 period. You can still sell those today for $1 to a couple bucks a piece. Okay, why? Because they're cheaper than new, primarily. Okay,
and they're interesting if you go for that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're interesting and they're durable. The big problem, of course, is don't stick them in the dishwasher. But we won't go there. All right. So anyway. So he says there's a resurgence of this. He says you don't have your handle on this. Well, I do, but here is where he really threw me for a loop. There are some very dedicated groups on Facebook with more than 10,000 members for early American pattern glass. I don't know. I don't do Facebook.
I've never looked.
And I'll be the first one to say that, okay? But are you telling me there's 10,000 people on Facebook that talk about and collect early American pattern glass? You know what the big, like the little piggy said in The Big Bad Wolf, right? Not by the hairy or chinny chin chin. I mean, it's easy to throw number rounds, but if there were 10,000 people out there collecting pattern glass and they're talking about it on Facebook, I'd know about that, I would think. Maybe I don't. I have to check it out.
I can say that did some research for some stoneware Crocs, and went to a stoneware collecting group on Facebook, and that was about 2,000 people on that one, the one that I went to.
Really?
But yeah, now is stoneware Crocs different from pattern glass? Are there more people interested in stoneware?
Well, I would think so because of the country look and all the rest of that type of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you find them?
Well, if you're on Facebook, you just you search, you put in your keywords, and you'll see these groups. And then stoneware, yeah, and then or pattern glass or whatever it is that you're looking for, and then some of them are closed groups, and you have to ask to be admitted. Others you can just sort of.
Well, he said that you know he wouldn't say pattern glass is dead. Now I have to tell you what, dead's an interesting word in our business, right?
Right.
Dead to me. I remember when I took over Warman's Antiques and Their Prices in 1981, and when it was a third of the book was pattern glass, right?
Right.
I hired a woman that was very knowledgeable in pattern glass to do that section and work with me, and she would put such and such a pattern, sauce, rare, $3. And I had to call her up and tell her rare is not $3, no matter what. All right. I mean, I hate the word rare anyway, as you well know, but there is a correlation between rare and money, if you want to be honest to God truth in this. So he says it's coming back at a more reasonable price. Yes, it's coming back, but is it in fact being collected or is it being used? And I'm beginning to think it's not about collecting it. It's not about building a collection of 500 pattern glass pieces. Up now, you're up there.
Okay, so I just did a quick search of pattern glass groups on Facebook.
All right, there you
go. Here they are. Now, some of these down here have got one member.
No, go up to the first. Members. Go up to the first.
But the first one has 10,273 members.
No,
including 41 new members within the week.
Mike,
Early American Pattern Glass Society. So,
Society.
What happened?
I may have to reevaluate my thinking on some of this.
So you have to join before you can see anything that's on the.
What does it mean that you have to join?
That means you have to. It's a private group on Facebook.
You have to go through some private initiation ritual or what?
Well, no, they just have to let you in. And
well, obviously they're
not very ask questions, but other times all you have to do is request to be in, and you're in.
I was going to say they're not very discriminating if they have over 10,000 members.
Yes. So it says a nonprofit group of collectors and dealers, who share appreciation and love of pattern glass. Yeah. So the dealers are there to try and sell to the.
You bet they are.
Fewer collectors.
Okay. You know what? I've got it. I spell a column coming up here about this one. I got to check this out.
You may have to get a Facebook account.
No, I have a Facebook account.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And how did you find this? You just typed in pattern glass.
Pattern glass, and then search for. Let me put the screen back up so you can see it.
Oh yeah, I got groups there, right?
So pattern glass up here, and then you check the groups, and this is what comes up. So there's Early American Pattern Glass Society, and then stained glass, which is not what we're talking about. No. Moon and Stars Pattern Glass Club.
That's a special pattern.
Yeah. Justin Benke stained glass? No.
No. Too much.
More stained glass. Stained glass.
It seems
okay, so pattern glass is not as big of a deal. It's just got that one group.
No, but there's jumbo. There's a jumbo pattern there.
Jumbo pattern.
Yes, that's a pattern of pattern glass. Well, isn't that interesting? Well, I sense a column coming up here as I'm reluctant to get in touch with those people. But then how do you find out who's in charge of the group?
And once you've joined, you can see who the
head honcherino is.
What's that?
You can see who the head honcherino is.
You can see who the administrators are and who founded it, I believe. Yeah.
Why do I get a sneaky suspicion it's a dealer, but we won't go there. Well, anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Next, he says, as far as Smith Brothers glass, I never found it to sell it. I never found it to be all that collectible, not like Mount Washington or Wavecrest. I think the problem is, he's saying, I got to turn the page here. This was a great email, by the way. Is availability. Who wants the singular tumbler you mentioned when you can't find other pieces? Now, having said that, right?
Right.
Tell you what I did. I thought I'd have some fun, and I would go up to the Worthopedia and see what the Worthopedia had to say about Smith Brothers glass, right?
Okay.
So I typed in Smith Brothers glass, which I want you to do. SMITHBROS .glass. Type it in there for me.
Yep, I'm already ahead of you. Here we are.
Yeah. Now, I got news for you. The typewriter is not a piece of Smith Brothers glass. It might be a Smith Corona typewriter, but it's not.
I agree with you. It's not.
And none of the pieces.
Frame or Smith Ale.
Yeah, that's not Smith Ale. Now, here's the deal. Unbeknownst to me, but known to you, and we need to make it clear to all WorthPoint people, the way to find out what Smith Brother glass is there's a new toolbar up here, right?
Yeah, it's relatively new. It's up here. After you put in your keywords at the top, go to your all categories and then drop down to find a category. We have 23 different categories.
Yeah.
In our taxonomy. So you put in glass.
Click on glass, yep.
And then you search it. And so now that 1,040 drops down to 268.
Right. And
item matching Smith Brothers glass. And this is going to be a lot closer.
Now you got to be careful because not everything here either is Smith Brothers glass. To the left,
right?
The first
now there's one more thing
about Washington, but
then you can go to sort by.
What?
Right here. And what we have here is we're sorting by sales date. If you sort by best match,
now
you're going to get it's going to be the same number of items, but it's going to most likely get your Smith Brothers glass at the top and move all those other things that are not.
We can use WorthPoint as an identification guide to learn about any category, but we have to go through essentially 3 steps, right?
Yes.
One, put the name.
Otherwise, you can get a lot of things that don't
right.
Make it
and
work.
the good news is almost all of this stuff is Smith Brothers glass. Now, what the Smith Brothers were is they worked for a company called Mount Washington, and they didn't make glass. They got glass blanks, and they were a painting company. And so here you can see a lot of typical things. And we talk about vocabularies. You know, how do you develop a vocabulary? Well, this is a great thing because Smith Brothers glass painting styles break down into just a few key categories. One is landscape scenes, and this is a great example of one. And not just that, but the shape of the vase is an absolutely typical late 19th, early 20th century shape for them. Okay, so and there's no mark on the bottom, but you can see it's a milk glass, a translucent white kind of milk glass, not milk glass as we know it from Westmoreland and the 1940s and 1950s milk glass that was pure white. This is a kind of oyster or grayish milk glass, but that's fine. But now you have that one. Then another motif is birds, and clearly, and particularly cranes. They loved cranes. And here you could see a number of pieces, right?
Yes.
And boom. Now this is another. We talk about pattern vocabularies. We talk about shape vocabularies. Well, now you've seen 2 vase shapes and 2 pattern vocabularies. Now remember, the patterns will always outnumber the shapes because you can take one shape and paint it thousands of different ways, right?
Yes.
So as you study this category, in a few brief minutes, you're already forming a shape vocabulary and a pattern vocabulary. And also, if you pay attention to the color scheme, you'll notice that the backgrounds are a pale, flat color, usually blue or brown or pink, right? So let's look at a few other pieces. Move on down the list there a little bit. Scroll down there. All right, now, okay. I mean, this best match thing does really well. Notice notice again on that top row that you have up now, the third one is exactly the same form as the other one, right?
Yes. Same,
Yeah.
same crane design.
Same vocabulary. Yep. Now, if you go down to, the herons, they're herons. I just call them cranes. Sorry about that. But if you go down to the next row that we had to the right, you'll see another standard one of the the forms. It's a vase. So far, everything we looked at is vases, but this one has got yet a different shape, and that's a typical shape, almost like a trumpet bell, upside down trumpet bell with a base.
Yeah,
and that's a very common shape. And there, the pattern vocabulary is a little bit different too. But here is an excellent example that if you're trying to study something, so many people rely on the first click and then get frustrated. And the key to using any database, and I'm learning something new tonight myself, the key to using any database is to make sure you exercise all the options available. So let's go back again and just type in Smith Brothers. Forget Glass, just type in Smith Brothers.
All right.
And we'll see we get a whole bunch of stuff from Smith Brothers typewriters to Smith Brothers type. No, you still got the Glass all categories. Yep. Go back to square one here, so to speak. And there we got typewriters, and we've got Smith Ale signs and a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So
tokens and
some coins for some strange, tobacco store tokens. Must have been I'm not sure why we have the turkey platter, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, but then going back up to where we were before, after you type in Smith Brothers, you go over to categories, and instead of clicking on all categories, click on Glass, and then you'll get it narrowed down somewhat. But what you really want to do is do one more search. And that is search, instead of search by date, search by best match, right?
Correct.
And boom, you'll get a lot better stuff. And there you go. It's a good lesson in all this. Anyway, tell you what, he has another thing in his message to me that is a bit of an interesting comment. But I don't want to get sidetracked. We got a wonderful project to research this week. Cat in the Hat book.
Yes. Dr.
Seuss. And we got an email from one of our viewers and said, I have a first edition of Dr. Seuss. And it's a first edition because it has a dust jacket. Ta-da! First editions had dust jackets, okay?
Right.
Well, they also had multiple printings. First edition isn't enough. It's what printing? First, second, or third printing. Okay, there were 3 of them. And there were 3 different dust jackets. So the question is, which dust jacket is this? Well, fortunately, again, you can do a lot of work on the internet, and you will find out that there was actually 4 kind of first editions. There was a pre-first edition, which sounds a little strange for educational purposes, and a white dust jacket, and that's the rare one. Brings a good amount of money. But the first dust jacket has a price of $2 in it, in the flap, okay?
Okay.
$2. The second dust jacket for the second print, the dust jacket for the second print doesn't have any price in it because they needed to get a new one out, and they wanted to, and Theodore Geisel, who is Dr. Seuss, was doing a series of books for beginning readers. And he wanted to have this become part of the series. And so the third dust jacket has a logo on it, which you can see here for beginning readers. And also on the back are for the 5 books in the series. And that has a $1.98 price on the thing, okay? So this book also came, the person that did it also sent us a picture of the copyright here. And here you can see 1973, all rights reserved, educational edition. That's the key word. Published by Houghton Mifflin in Boston. Trade edition published simultaneously in New York by Random House. So, you know, you have to be careful which one of these do you have. Do you have the trade edition or the whatever? But they're all published simultaneously. Okay, so we have that. Now, there's another way to tell the second and the third editions from the first edition. Second and third printings from the first printing. The first printing had a single signature. Do you know what that means? That means the page is wrapped into one signature. And when you look down at the top of the book into the spine, right? You'll just see one piece like that. The second and third editions had 3 signatures. So if you look down in the book, you'll see, well, I'm not very good at doing this. I didn't do well with funny little pictures of animals on the wall either. But you'll see 3 rounded pieces in there to indicate that as well. All right?
Yeah.
Now, knowing which of the printings you have, of course, impacts on the price. First of all, if the dust jacket is in there, it already impacts on the price. But now we can go to the Worthopedia and see what we can find here. All right, and we should find them selling through in about the $35 to $45 range. All right?
Okay. So I'm going to go to best match.
Well, no. We have to go back up again. Go back up to the top. You have Cat in the Hat, first edition, right?
Yes.
All right.
I've already put in books, paper, and magazines.
Oh, okay, good. Right?
Right.
So
these are the best matches. And
all right. So what do we got on the
something about, and just for the second, I'm going to go to high price.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the copy that we're looking at,
which has that logo on the cover.
It's got the Cat in the Hat logo. It says, "I can read all by myself, beginner books."
Right. That's not up in the highest.
Has got a different logo.
Right, exactly.
It says for beginning readers.
Right, that's right. And that's the very first printing.
That's the first one. Okay. Because it makes sense because with the logo, and the logo has the Cat in the Hat on it.
Right.
Nobody knew that this book was going to be as successful as it was, so he couldn't brand it.
Well, he didn't have his beginning readers series at the time either. That was developed between the second and third printings of the first edition.
Okay. So these books here, and you tell me if this is the right nomenclature here.
Right. And look at
first edition. Now, does that those 3 first mean anything, or is they just reiterating?
Well, it's the first edition, first printing.
Okay.
And it's got the $2. You see the $2 jacket, the $2 over 200 over 200.
Yeah.
And boy, look at the price.
Yes. Now this was 5 years ago.
Right. But that's right. Okay. So now run most recent prices.
All right.
Let's see what happened to this in the interim.
So sales date.
Now, unfortunately, the first one up there. All right, there's one. There's one in the beginning of the line there. What did that sell for?
Okay, this one is $40.
Yes, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
First issue, $40. It's a long way from 2,400.
That's right.
All right, now that looks like it's got some condition problems.
Yes.
The spine and stuff. So let's ignore that one.
Okay.
We want to ignore that one. We want to find comparables, and comparables in this case has to be in condition as well. So moving on down.
Okay, so $20.
One of the beginners ones. What did that sell for?
This was 20.
Yeah, that should be about right. $20 to $25. And that looks in pretty good shape. Now, does that have the dust jacket or not?
I can't tell. I would say no. That's not a dust jacket.
No.
That's.
Well, it looks like it might be a dust jacket, but that's the first edition only. Oh, yeah. Now that's the white. That's the white one. That's a scarce one.
This looks like it's an inside page.
Oh, all right. Okay, there you go.
And then looking at it like this, it does not look like a dust jacket to me because of the way.
And that dust jacket will add double the value at least. But look at how the market. Why is there such a change between 2,400 and now? here's the deal, right? Ready?
Well, when did guess
It
who'll
was
die?
5 years ago, right? And that must have
Yeah.
been one of the first ones to hit the net. All right, after they did homework. But once something is worth $2,400, what's going to happen? Everybody's going to rush up in the attic and dig them out, right?
Yes.
And boom, the market gets flooded, and the market can only absorb so much. Now, here's one with a dust jacket that sold for $200 and some odd, right? Now, it's not a bad price, I think.
No, and that was a few months ago.
Yeah.
That was in March.
Yeah. And so, but that's, again, that first edition that we're dealing with right there, right?
Yes.
So that third printing of that first edition, 25 to $40 is a good price. All right?
That's what it looks like.
Amazing what you can find out on the net. But also, it's equally important to not just take the first piece you find, but to double check, triple check, quadruple check, and so forth, that information. And 2, look at the date. Look at the date, because it dates everything. All right? Seriously. But anyway, interesting email. We want to thank people. By the way, we always are looking for emails of objects and stuff to research. And so we would like you to send us it, or you can send us a question too, but the way to do it is send it to community@worthpoint.com, community@worthpoint.com. If you're going to send in a question about an object, tell us everything you know about its size, markings, how you acquired it, what you paid for it, and so forth, and add a number of photographs. JPEGs are the key. A picture of the object overall. Don't forget to include a ruler, or at least give us a size in the email, and all the rest of that. Then send it all to community@worthpoint.com, and we will deal with it here in one of the chats, right?
Right.
Now, very interesting follow-up to that thing we were talking about earlier today.
About the glass? Yeah.
Yeah. He said, I believe that today people would love to collect nice items like flow blue, elegant glass, cut glass, etc. Oh, no. All right. Yes. Maybe there's a 10,000 person group for cut glass on Facebook. Now that would surprise the you-know-what out of me. I was already surprised by the pattern glass thing, so who knows? You're about to find out, are you? Don't do that. But here's the deal. He says, but it's just not available in any kind of quantity to satisfy the collector. And that is why Pyrex such is so hot in the market right now, because that's readily available. Here's the catch-22 in our business. If there are no buyers for it, it doesn't get put out, right?
Right.
When the market collapsed on pattern glass and flow blue and elegant glass and cut glass, dealers stopped carrying it. And when dealers stop carrying it, they can't find it. They won't find it in the antique shops and the antique malls and the antique shows. They won't find it. They might find it in estate sales, but they don't find it out there. So in a way, it's almost the drop in prices and the lack of purchasing is almost self-defeating to a collecting category. Because if nobody buys it, no dealers are going to put it out. If no dealers are going to put it out, nobody is going to know to buy it. Now, the problem is that, unfortunately, if dealers put it out, they try to get the old book prices, which doesn't work either. But if they put it out at reasonable prices, they're going to find something intelligently like it's not going to sell either. And that's like my good friend Barb Jersey, who was trying to sell rosette pattern glass,
Right.
goblets and stuff for $3 a piece and couldn't find a taker. All right, they were priced at $6, and it was half price sale was $3 a piece. Could not find anybody who wanted to buy any of them. There's over 100 pieces left at the end of the sale. So liquidator comes in and gives her $10 for the whole pile.
Right.
I mean, really.
And then he can sell it for $1 a piece, and
he'll get 50 cents to $1 a piece for it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to have to tell you what, those 10,000 pattern glass people on Facebook got to find out where all this is happening. But here's the problem. In the old days, it all happened at flea markets, or it happened in shops, right? Or it happens in shows, right?
Yes.
But the problem is today, there's thousands of estate sales in a weekend. How can anybody possibly go on the internet and follow all the pictures for every sale out there? You go nuts.
Yes, you can't do it.
Yeah. And so this stuff is coming out in the marketplace, and the people that would like to find it can't find it. They don't have the time to find it, the expertise to find it, or and it just goes by the board.
Yeah.
Goes by the board. I mean, seriously.
I did a quick little search here, and there's a American Brilliant Period Cut Glass Collectors Group, 2,212 members.
That's a lot of people.
Yes. And this says, no selling on the board, please.
Huh?
They don't accept posts with things for sale. They just talk about it. If you want to sell it, you have to sell it somewhere else.
Well, that's a crack of Rourke. Well, the other thing about it is how much you want to bet that the average age of those people is over 55.
Yeah.
I'm going to be even more daring, over 60.
Over 60? A large percentage of them would be over 60.
There are 2,000 people that want to go on a cut glass Facebook site and just talk about cut glass for the sake of talking about Facebook.
Well, I think what they're really doing is they're putting up photographs of a pattern and saying, what pattern is this? Because they've got a group of people who know.
No. This is as bad as Instagram, where somebody puts up a piece of jewelry and everybody says, that's nice, I'd love to own that. Isn't that wonderful? What kind of chat is that? So you think this is people trying to identify patterns, do you?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm going to warn you. Harry is going up to Facebook's Pattern Glass Collectors Group. I should forewarn them in advance that I am coming. And we will see what they do.
People on Facebook, beware. Harry's about to come visit.
Well, it's, hey, you know, in a way, when we had the old collecting societies, if a collecting society had more than 250 members in it, that was a lot. I mean, some of the major ones had thousands in them, but 250 was a lot. Annual conventions had 50, 60 people at them. What is that?
Okay, so this is gonna shake your confidence in people. This is a page called "What is this? Antique, Vintage, and Unusual Item Identification," with 65,000 members.
Well, these are just cheap people who don't want to pay an appraiser.
So here's a question.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. This is a great conversation because, you know, this is one of those things you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Imagine all the people that are going to send in comments about what this is that don't know what the H they're looking at.
Well, that's the thing. So this thing posted this chair just recently. Nobody's commented on it yet.
Well, I can understand that. And nobody's comment. Some people have commented on that.
Yes. So tell me who this is, this bobblehead. And
I have no idea.
So somebody says a young Wolfman Jack, question mark. Somebody suggests Dr. Demento.
What is this, a guessing game?
Well, that's what it looks like on this particular one. Kind of looks like one of the Trailer Park Boys.
Exciting. All kinds of suggestions and none of them right.
Walter from The Big Lebowski. It looks a bit like. So there's no true answer. Nobody knows the answer to this.
But yet all those people commented on it.
Yes. So I told you were going to be flabbergasted.
I've been accused occasionally, and because of my enthusiasm in antiques and collectibles, to get a life. The people that are on this site need to get a life. My Lord.
Okay, here's a particular.
Well, you know, what is that?
It looks like a bear wearing a sombrero.
I hope so. Oh man, it's a wall hanger.
Is that what it?
You know, these are the kind of things that when I go to bed at night, I say to myself, God, please don't ever ask me to appraise one of these.
It's like you wrote once that.
Well, you know what's interesting is the few you've scrolled through it's all that mid 1920s, 30s colonial revival furniture. A lot of it. Isn't that interesting? Well, enough of that. We've wasted a perfectly good evening here. Now we're going to tell everybody we're taking a break next week.
Right.
I'm going to be driving straight through to Florida. It'll be the test about whether Linda and I will still be married after the drive. You're heading off to California to help your mom settle in the state, right?
Right.
But we will resume again on May 31.
31st,
well, I will be in Florida in the middle of a remodel where they're tearing out the kitchen, redoing the lighting, tearing up all the old top floor, replacing it, tearing out the vanity, and tearing out the master bathroom cabinetry.
Great. You can pick up your laptop and give us a tour.
Yes.
A virtual tour.
Not the first week, not the second week, not the third week, but somewhere. Maybe we can do that.
So, maybe just some before and after photos.
You know what? It would be interesting. Now, wait a minute. That would be interesting. I have to think about that. Probably could do it. You know, it's one of these times I should. Well, it would be interesting to do it to see what I have down there, because it'd be much more interesting to take a tour of the crap I have around the house here, but we won't go into that, at least not at the moment. Anyway, sir, you have a good night, and thanks.
Collection down there in Florida?
Huh?
You have your Southern collection down there in Florida?
No, I have some interesting stuff in Florida. We bought some antique teapots. Linda likes those. It's a much more modernist look in Florida than it is here. But I bought a couple of things down there, and you might be surprised. I tell you what I do have. I have my old hi-fi set, my old stereo Marantz tuner, and my speakers, and my Gerard turntable, and my
platters too. We can have a little dance party.
My old 33 1/3 record collection is down there, and I have a ball every time I go down there.
Excellent.
All right, sir. Well,
okay. Well,
talk with you in 2 weeks.
That's right, 2 weeks. So until then, we'll say goodnight, Harry. Good night, Harry.
All right. Good night, Craig.